Can you hear the
I'm
music?
trying to get,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm trying to connect my headphones, but I'm struggling a bit here.
If
Let's
do
see,
you
I'll figure it
see
out right now.
like a little icon with a microphone at the bottom or somewhere around the image?
Yes, I think here we go.
Yeah.
Select the speaker. Oh,
So
there we go.
select. Now you
I
can hear
think I
me
got
now?
it. Yes. How is my audio?
Perfect.
Okay, good, good, good. Oh, I'm Lary Espinoza from Texas.
Ay, de Texas. Un compadre de Texas.
Sí, sí.
Yo viví en
Aquí,
Texas por 20 y tantos años.
ok. ¿En qué parte?
En Houston.
Ok, ok. Sí, yo estoy acá en el Valle de Texas. Aquí cerca de McAllen, o más bien enseguida de McAllen.
¿Y tienes tiempo viviendo en Texas? ¿O eres de Texas?
Sí, sí. Oh,
Hi,
hello,
Sean.
Mr. Sean.
You're muted.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
How are
Yeah,
you?
this in our settings we mute automatically when we start the meeting because sometimes we have a lot of people or a lot of action. Hi, sweetie. How are you?
He's running for office.
Nice to
Oh,
meet you,
hey,
love.
little one.
City
Hi,
council.
sweetie.
He's
Hi,
running for
sweetie.
city council. Say hello. Hi.
How are you? No, like 1 year old, 2 years old.
Yeah, he's 17. Oh, we just got him a dump truck, so he's very.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Show us a dump truck.
Oh, and there's a fox on the book. There's a fox. Yeah.
There's a fox. Look,
Uh-oh. What did she have?
I have a car
Whoa. Wow. She's got a car. Do you see that?
and a penguin.
And
What
a penguin. I'm just elevating the conversation here.
You know, children are young people. You have to integrate them in whatever you do.
Again. Okay, he wants to see you again.
Again?
Sorry, this is the whole meeting for 1 hour.
Hi. Hi, lovey.
Yeah, sorry, I'm doing double duty right now. I wanted to just pop in and say hi, but obviously I'm doing childcare at the moment, so I'm a little
Oh no, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I actually work with children.
Oh, okay, cool. So I don't know. This is my second time coming to one of these office hours. I'm running for Congress in California's 19th district. So I don't know. I just thought I'd pop in, talk to you about how my campaign is going and maybe what support it might get. How many people do we have now? I had heard that maybe we're going to get a congressional committee going again, fundraising. Do you know anything about where that is?
Have you applied for a grant for money from the CCC?
I haven't. When I started looking into that, you were still focused on 2023 candidates. So I guess now it's okay. I can go ahead and do that.
We might still be focused on the 2023 candidates.
Okay.
But you know, so you have run us tell us where you are at with your campaign.
Well, I've filed with the FEC. So I have like a proper bank account associated with the campaign.
Okay.
We've actually I have a treasurer who, I don't know that we've actually filed our first quarterly report. We did put it together. Fundraising, let's just say, wasn't great. I raised like $2,000. So I'm currently sitting on, I think I've got, what is it? Maybe like 1,400 right now. I need the filing fees about 4,500. My congressional district has 4 counties in it. And getting a statement in the voter guide, I'm really hoping to do that because like when you look at the cost of it, it's actually pretty cost effective. It's about 7 cents per voter. Like when you look at the number of people that voted in the last primary. So 7 cents per voter. I mean, there's going to be more registered voters that will get it than that, but 7 cents per people that we expect to actually vote. And I'd say that's actually a pretty cost effective, but that amounts to like 15 grand. And I'm obviously not expecting the GPUS to be providing me with the basically 20 grand it takes just to get on the ballot and be on the voter guide. But obviously any help would be appreciated. As for
I'm sorry, sometimes my English is not that good. 15 grand is 15,000 or 1,500? 15,000.
15,000.
You get 50, you have to pay 15,000 to be on the voters guide. And do you have an option that is, did they increase the cost?
Oh, wait, to decrease the cost?
No, did they increase the cost recently?
I'm not sure. But part of why it's so high is that I have to pay each county separately. And there's 4 counties in my district. So there are some cost saving measures we could take. For example, one of those 4 counties doesn't have a whole lot of people in my district. So we might just not have a statement in the voter guide there, so.
And can you get on the voters guide by collecting signatures?
I'm only aware of the signatures being useful in reducing the filing fee. I'm not aware of it being able to help with the cost of getting on the voter guide, but I can look into that again.
Yeah, you might want to look into it because that's prohibitive. I mean, that's
yes.
that is actually it's one of those artificial barriers.
Yes, but I agree.
Yeah. And you have a website and
yeah. It's I can so I'm on a phone. I can try tapping it, but it's seanforpeace.org. Yeah, I can HTTPS
on as SEAN. There you are. Let me just share the screen. That's a nice photo. That's you.
You think that's a nice photo? Yeah, that is me. Actually, it's funny. My toddler features prominently in my life. He's in the background in that photo screaming. My wife and I took that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a couple blocks from our house, and we.
Hold on. Give me just a second. Somebody's coming in. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a nice photo.
Great.
Have you, so peace being such a big deal, have you tried to like do events, like a paying event with, like, for example, Matt Ho?
I'll reach out to him again. I sent him a text maybe a month ago. I didn't hear back. I can try it again. Because I was a financial supporter of his senatorial run. And so he gave me his personal phone, but I should text him again.
Do you have his address?
Like his mailing address? No.
Because, sometimes, people reply better with them, different ways and,
right.
Right. And when is the deadline for your filing fee?
I think December 8th. Okay. I mean, if it comes down to my wife and I are willing to pay that filing fee, we're not willing to pay for the voter guide.
No, but I think, and when is the deadline for the voters guide?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's probably something similar.
Oh, really? Coming in December? When is it? When is the election?
March 5th.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why I don't think I should really be counted as a 2024 candidate. I should be counted as a 2023 candidate.
totally, totally.
Yeah, that's something that I think a lot of people don't get. Like Jason Call has his primary in a year.
Yeah, no, totally. You know what? But that's why we're having these little candidate cafes. So we can bring up these issues, talk about them, bring them up, and then elevate some of these races. But so initially, getting on the filing fees, what are your ideas to, I mean, and everybody else feel free to join, to chime in, Eddie. Maybe what we should do is introduce, Eddie, why don't you introduce your campaign, who you are, and Doug can do the same, and then we can just take it from there.
Okay, yeah, my name is Lary Espinoza, and I'm here from Far Texas, and I am seeking the Green Party nomination for U.S. Senate to run against Ted Cruz or the Democratic nominee. And we need to find $5,000 to pay for the filing fee. And right now we are at about $2,000. And our deadline is December 8th sounds about the same, but we want to have the money by December 1st to make sure we get everything in on time.
And what is your website?
We only have a Facebook page right now, and I'll share that right now.
And can you get signatures instead of paying the 5,000?
We can, but we don't have the people power to pull it off. We know that it's going to be easier for us to try to come up with the cash.
Oh, hold on. Where is the chat here?
Currently, the chat seems to let us only chat with you rather than each other.
Okay, let me just change that.
Sure. In case somebody had a suggestion for Eddie, it would make sense.
Hold on a second. Open link. Right, here is your Facebook page. Oh, you just started your Facebook page, Eddie?
I'm sorry?
Did you just start your Facebook page?
Yeah, it hasn't been up too long.
Okay.
It's maybe we started working on this maybe about I'd say we've been working about 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, so it's a brand new campaign. Do you have okay, and I'll have a couple of questions for you. What about you, Doug? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Why, sure. I'm Doug Lary. I am moderately well known in Eastern U.S. As the data geek for Connecticut. So I occasionally run for office myself. I am this year, but that's not my major play. I am mostly the guy who helps other candidates in my region run. So I'm the data guy, the guy who helps with mailings, paperwork processes. I'm pretty familiar with the Connecticut rules for getting on the ballot. And so that's my role in the organization.
Would you mind putting your contact information in the chat? And I'm going to tell you why, because
I can do that. Let me see if I can. Yeah, now I have everyone. Okay, sure. I'll do that. But I'm pretty active here in Connecticut. I've occasionally assisted Maine, where they have very different rules for how to get on ballot. and a staggering number of greens, because in order to sign a petition for a green in Maine, you must join the party. And so over the years, they've collected 40,000.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, it's harder to get each signature, but each one matters more and longer. So it's an interesting puzzle.
And which race are you running for?
Oh, in my little town, here in the municipal odd years, I'm running for what's called Board of Directors. And that's for a subset of my town. It's the city portion of town. It's the portion of town that the rural portion of town should pay for everything, especially its own problems, like, oh, we might need police, and oh, we might need fire, and they don't. So we have a tax schism in our town, and this creates an interesting political dynamic where the city and the rural portion of town do not pay the same tax rates. And therefore, the political parties are divided not just between red and blue and some other colors, but between in the city and out of the city, because it will cost you 26% extra to live in the city. Nonetheless, if you drive into the city, we protect your car. If your students come to our part of the town, we protect your kids. So taxation is a heavy deal in our elections here. So the Wyndham Greens, where I live, tend to be socially far left and fiscally middle to slightly right of middle. We care a lot about money. We certainly are open-minded about where you sleep, who you sleep, where you live.
Yeah, that's pretty much the party.
Yeah, I thought so. I joined it and it hasn't served me wrong yet.
And so where are you at with your campaign, or what's the struggle, or what what are the question?
We're in an interesting spot. Our approach this year was to look for seats that were, all the parties in my town have had trouble getting candidates. There's actual violence in my state, and there's threats of violence. People are afraid to run.
There's what? There's
threats of violence for candidates, for election workers, for people who serve. People are getting hurt badly emotionally and social media, and there's the risk that they will be hurt badly physically, personally, etc. We had two election workers called registrars of voters here in town, in the state, who've been arrested for, well, one for a shooting and one for keying opponents' cars. I mean, it's just plain getting,
like election workers doing that.
Yes, election workers. I mean, like the people in charge, not just the muffins. So, so we've had trouble getting candidates in this state because things are getting scary. The state has traditionally been just slightly blue. It's going just slightly red. It's getting ugly in the middle. In my part of the state, I'm in the poor half of Connecticut. We have trees and poor people. The west side of the state has fewer trees and lots of rich people. So it's a different, if you know Connecticut, you might not know it's got two halves. Like that, my town has two halves. In the city, we're more than 50% Spanish. Outside the city, we're, like 80% white and got 2 acres, thanks, and leave me alone. So very Civil War-like politics in one single little town. So, so we're running 10 candidates this year on the ballot. Out of 30 races, we're running 10. And we expect to win about 8, but it's neck and neck for which ones of us that will be. And so we're working hard on that. We've been doing this 20 years, so we're not a brand new, trying it for the first time, Green Party town. Connecticut is not super powerful in terms of greenness, but we have 4 or 5 towns where it's very, very strong. New London, my town of Wyndham. And so we're running 10 candidates and expect to do reasonably well, but it's important that we get those last 2. Because those last 2 that we're worried about, they're town council, the ones that make the rules, spend the money, make the decisions, and decide whether or not the Democrats have a super majority or merely a majority.
And what are the challenges right now for the races, or what are you looking for in terms of support?
Well, we had a meeting with the GPUS Coordinated Campaign Committee for their grant. We had 7 of their, at that point, 9 candidates show up, and that went well. They say they've granted us some money. We'd like to see it someday. We're basically trying to introduce our town council team. It's a little difficult. One of them changed her surname and is therefore less well known under that new name. So we have name recognition trouble. The candidate's no problem. She's got a master's in finance. She's the voice of reason on town council already. The challenge is that she changed her name. She got rid of an ex-husband's name and has adopted her birth family's name. And that turns out to be a bigger deal because nobody knows her by this name. So we have a several $1,000 ad campaign for name recognition going on for her. I mean, it's an ideal candidate. You couldn't ask for much better. You know, knows money, warm heart, mixed heritage, right down our.
I gotta interrupt for a second, guys. I gotta get back to childcare, but it was really nice meeting you all.
So,
and
Sean, I know. So what I want to mention is you and Eddie are kind of in the same boat. And so you might want to kind of connect to do something together in terms of an event to fundraise. But I'll get back with you. I understand you have a small child, and you know they feel free to if your child gets entertained to jump back in.
Okay.
But and if you can find, you know, if whether you can file with signatures, that would be also a good idea.
Yeah, I was just looking. I didn't see anything yet. Yeah, I'll be looking into that.
Yeah, and I'm going to send the message to the CCC to consider you for a grant.
Yeah, for 2023.
For 2023, yeah, because the deadline is now, so it's not. I mean, you're not going to be a 2024 candidate.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right, nice
Thank you for
all.
joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. So Eddie, I have a question. So you're do you have do you have any plans to run for office beyond this election or beyond this candidacy? And what are the goals of your campaign? What are you trying to do with your campaign?
Yeah, well, first, ideally, get 2% of the vote so that the Green Party can continue to have ballot access here in Texas. So if we don't run a statewide candidate that gets 2% of the vote, the Green Party will no longer have ballot access in 2026. So we're trying to get that 2%. And we're also, with the campaign, we're trying to spread the word about climate change and the challenges that that's going to bring, because we're in an area that it has limited knowledge about climate change, and we want to spread the word. And we want to hopefully try to get the Democrats, the corporate Democrats, and also the progressive Democrats to come more left here in Texas. But it's an uphill battle, but I think we can pull it off just with just simple name recognition, and hopefully get on some podcasts and also Spanish speaking stations to, you know, spread the word about the Green Party and the Green Party platform. So the big one is spread knowledge about climate change and the Green Party platform, and also try to get that 2% of the vote.
That ballot access matters a lot. In my state, it's not just ballot access, but also, can you register as a green? Can you affiliate in voter registration where people can find you? The Green Party has trouble finding people unless they can register green. So in the years where we have achieved the ability to affiliate green, we have the ability to find each other better. And as soon as we lose that, we're like lost in the forest a bit and can work
Right.
locally, but not statewide. So as much fun as it is to run for office, sometimes the practical details of running to meet an objective, like 2% in your case, are terribly useful because they can facilitate others running in the future.
Right, right.
Are there any other candidates who are running for state office?
No, no. And it was brought to my attention, like working with Ali Schmidt, that, hey, the Green Party has ballot access here in 2024, but nobody wants to put their name on the dotted line. And
Okay.
I'm like, if nobody wants to put their name on the dotted line, then I will do it.
In the have you in the past, how many what percent did the Green Party candidates get in Texas when they were?
Yeah, there was someone that ran for governor in 2020. Let's see what, I think 2020, and she was able to get 0.6% of the vote. And I think we need to get, I believe it's 60,000 votes to get that 2%. I might be off on the math, but I
So
think
you
that's
haven't
what
had
what calculated.
you haven't had a candidate who got 2% of the vote recently statewide.
Exactly. We
Okay.
have not.
Okay. And what are the statewide races are there?
There is for state senator for here in, I don't know what district we're in, but yeah, there is also a race for Congress here in Texas District 15 and also in District 34. And I believe the Green Party has somebody running, or we're running a candidate in District 34, which is South Texas, like Brownsville area,
But
and
that's
they
not
would be running again.
Mhm.
Oh, go ahead.
Does that count? Is it when you say that you need to get a 2% in a state office? Is that like a congression or a district or like a
No,
statewide
a
office?
statewide office, a
State.
statewide office. Yeah.
So what other races are there for statewide office?
Uh, there might be like a railroad
Commissioner?
commissioner. Yeah, maybe, but I'm not sure on that one.
Mhm.
Eddie, do we include governor and president and senator, those more traditional statewide offices?
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
Do president and senator and
Yes.
so forth count then as statewide offices, or
Yes.
only the Texas offices?
No, that's it. Those are statewide offices. Like the railroad commissioner
Okay,
is a
so
statewide office,
US
attorney
Senate
general.
counts.
Yeah.
President counts. Okay, good. We had a big loss on that in 2022 here in Connecticut, where we failed to get the percentage required. And so that's dramatically changed our capabilities here in Connecticut. We're still strong in localities, but we've greatly been weakened statewide.
And how much did you create like a bank account, Eddie, or
Yeah, we do have that, and we're raising money using Donor Box. We have the campaign manager, also the campaign treasurer, but our thing is trying to raise the $5,000 filing fee.
yeah? And I mean, you don't have that much time. And
Right,
do you have like a planning, like so you started this like 2-3 weeks ago because it just came up to your attention?
right. Maybe we've probably been working on it about a month.
Mhm.
A month and a half, and then we got the social media going. But yeah, we've been already kind of at it for about a month and a half.
And how much money do you have right now?
Right now we have about 2,000.
Okay.
So it's doable, but it's like you said, we're running short on time.
And have you like contacted Greens in this? Do you have like a phone banking tree, or what are your plans to raise the remaining $3,000?
Right. On Saturday, we're probably gonna start phone banking to I guess previous or try to get a hold of people that have donated to the Green Party before. So we'll start fundraising through phone calls, and after that, we're hoping to get that grant from the committee from at the national level, and hopefully they'll give us that grant for 3,300.
You know, last
And
year
that'll
already, the Texas got two large grants to be on the ballot last time.
hmm.
Well,
Um,
Texas matters.
I
It's
know,
big.
yeah, it does,
Yeah.
which is why, right? But
Yeah.
so the you know, and the thing is that when you get on the ballot last time, the candidates did not get enough of a percent to keep the ballot line, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. And the election is in May,
November.
in November. Okay.
Yeah.
24?
It'll be, yeah, it's 24, yeah. Same
Okay.
time when we vote for president. So it's
Well,
gonna be,
I like that you're starting in 23.
Yeah, but
yeah,
the deadline to file is in December.
right,
Ouch.
like
Okay.
December 10th, but you know, we want to get everything turned in by like December 1st or December 2nd.
Okay.
And in terms
But
of, so
we've got our fingers crossed for that grant from the national committee. I mean, I think it's a wise investment. I mean, it's gonna beat, you know, trying to get signatures.
you know,
And we're also gonna be spreading the word about the Green Party.
yeah, so the thing is, the idea, you know, one of the things for campaigns, and that's one of the things that I was going to ask you, is one of the things about campaigns is that a campaign doesn't just start and end with that campaign, right? Usually
Mm.
when you run for office, you're thinking about this race, and then in 4 years that race, and then in 3 years. So whatever race you're doing, you're building the infrastructure, building the momentum, building your presence, building the things so that every race gets easier, like your name recognition increases, you have a
Right,
database, you have your website, you have your tools. And
right.
so that's really very important, right? And so, you know, are you in touch with the candidates that ran last time?
For the oh yes, with the one that ran for governor is I can't I don't remember the name off the top of
Delilah?
my head.
Delilah?
Uh oh yes, Delilah Barrios. Yeah, we've chatted briefly, and she kind of gave me some pointers, and the persons that helped her are helping me.
Okay.
So the fact that that Delilah ran first, you know, that helped us out a little bit. Not much because Delilah's, you know, has a family and she's busy, but you know, every little amount of help is appreciated.
Mhm. And do you have like a plan? Okay, we're going to try to raise this much from this much doing that, this much doing that. We have, you know, now with the holiday season, you know, organizing the house parties and get your friends to invite 10 people and, you know, that sort of thing.
Right. Right now, we just have the phone banking on Saturday, and then I'll talk with the campaign manager, see what else she wants to try out for fundraising.
Because usually when you do, so have you ever done fundraising before?
No, I've worked with another campaign. We were trying to prevent the Republican from getting elected in Congress, but worked as a volunteer with her campaign. But fundraising, you know, just when you would call and see if, you know, they wanted to pitch in $20 and send them the link. But
Okay.
like officially for my own sake, yeah, Saturday will be the first time. And we already worked on a script as far as what we're gonna say to try to convince people to pitch in.
Great. And what about you, Doug? Have you done fundraising before? Do you have any tips or any words of advice for fundraising?
Well, fundraising for us is, it involves money, but it also involves commitment. So our observation over the years is that people who donate $15 and people who donate 2,000 are both going to vote for you. One helps buy the signs and the mailings. The other is just making you confident that you have one more vote. And so both are important. In our town, we don't have a lot of well-off Greens. Out of the 40 of us, 3 or 4 of us have funds to do this well. And so those of us who do have the ability to donate a couple thousand have. But we didn't just throw in our money. We basically said, okay, we'll match whatever the rest of you can put in. And so people who can only afford 5 or 100 or 50 were given the sense that I'm willing to support again like I have before, but I want to make sure I'm not the only guy funding this, because if nobody else can fund it also, then it shouldn't be a 1 or 2 or 3 person party. It should be a many people party. And that worked pretty well this year.
So fundraising is a program. It's not, it's actually involves some planning and so on and so on. So there are a few concepts about fundraising that are very important. The first one is that you need to like, let's say you want to divide, get $3,000, which is your goal for fundraising. And so you're going to get maybe like 30% of that from big donors. And it's going to be a few people. So you need to identify those people who donated in the past. Contact the list. I don't know if you have contacted the state, get a history of who has donated in the past and how much they have donated. And and you need to, the thing is, you don't want to contact them just because you're in a panic and you need money. You want to have a plan. You want, okay, this race is going to be doing this, and this is a plan for the race. And then, after this race, I'm planning to run for this other office, which is a local office, or do this. And then in 2 years, I'm going to run for that. It's like, you need to have some kind of a plan of where you're going with the party. Because if that's how you're going to attract people to donate money to you, especially people who are bigger donors. And that thinking has to happen. Like, if your state should have, like all of our states should have like a strategic plan, what we're trying to accomplish. We don't have one in Oregon, right? We haven't had one in Oregon, but we're in the process of getting that going. To have a strategic plan that needs to be like a 2-4 year strategic plan, because that's usually how long your races are. But you might want to do that even just for yourself or your own your group of friends or your cell, to say, okay, where do we want to do, like, we need to keep ballot access. That's first. And then after ballot access, which areas do we want to focus on? What that's for you to decide in Texas. But at least having an idea of that is really important, right? And then you need to identify your biggest donors and ask them, can you put $500? Can you match $500? Like, if I get another $500 somewhere else, will you match that? Right? So then you have $1,000. And then, so if you have a couple of donors who say, yeah, I can donate $500, I can donate $300. And I say, okay, I'm gonna find people to donate $300 as soon as I have $300. Will you match those $300? That's a really good way, And then you need to create the hype on social media about, that we're going to keep ballot access because we're going to do this and that over the next whatever. So you need to have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, it's going to be really hard to fundraise. And
Right.
the reason I'm asking, about what happened, when the CCC donated money last time is for that. It's just, you're back in the same situation that you were, a year ago. So for you, for example, to file and get on the filing shouldn't be your plan. Your plan should be how to get the 2%, because otherwise you're wasting money.
Mm,
And so at
right.
least for your own race, what you want to do, what are the priorities for your own race? And after this race, this is what you want to do, that you're going to get people attracted. You're going to attract money for that. And so you need to divide, your pot of money into piles. Okay. And initially it's going to be kind of arbitrary because you don't have the background or the knowledge, you haven't done this before. So it's going to be arbitrary. So in fundraising, you kind of break up your amount in piles. It's a three-legged stool, and so you need your big donors. And then when you do before you do your phone banking on Saturday, see if you can identify 2 or 3 larger donors who are willing to donate, even if it's $200. Hey, if I raise $200, will you match it? Right? And then you have $400. So that makes it much easier than to fundraise, because you have, hey, somebody's going to match my first $500. Are you going to chip in? Right? Can you chip in so we can, $500 is going to be $1,000, so that's super important. And then so having a plan of how you're going to fundraise, and also having like throw a party, throw a Halloween party, throw a Dia de los Muertos party with the altars, right? See if you can hook up with the altars. And I don't know, what are you, your Facebook is, it's an initial Facebook. So you don't have yet a lot of issues there.
I probably shared about 5 posts.
Yeah. And it's the military, you should, what about doing the Dia de los Muertos, like an altar for all of the conflicts in all of the conflicts areas, and invite people who are like Veterans for Peace, Code Pink and so on, and say, I want to get on the ballot because I want to talk about the military and the non-military. Will your organization allow me to talk to your members and fundraise? So you have to find allies. People donate for different things too. So the first thing is you want to break up your pot of money for the first large donors, right? And then usually events, it's not for fundraising, but it's for awareness raising. In your case, because you have this deadline and so on, I'm thinking, okay, you need to throw a party, and Dia de los Muertos is coming up. It's very popular in the Latino community. And we're the only party that's a non-military party. So those are our automatic allies. So you need to make a list of all of your peace organizations, and you're going to call them and say, I'm going to throw a party because I want to be on the ballot to talk about the peace, because there's not going to be a single candidate that's going to talk about peace. And will you come to my party? Can you get some people to come to the party, and together we're going to talk about the military? I cannot do it without you. And then everybody who comes in, you just have like your good speech. You're like, this is, in my candidacy for the state senate, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to talk, get involved. Nobody else is talking about the cost of the military. Do you have information about the cost of the military?
Not off the top of my head, just
Okay.
what I shared there on
So
Facebook. I mean, but the
national
fact that I think
priorities.
I think it's like up to $1 trillion,
Okay.
the
So
budget on
there is this great website called the National Priorities Project, and their whole shtick is about the cost of the military budget. So this is, for example, the discretionary spending in 2021.
Can you put that link on the
Yeah.
chat?
So have these posters, like, and you can
Yeah.
tell people that between the military and the veterans benefits, and this is in 2022. We're in 2023. And this, so right now, the percent of the military budget is at 62% of the budget. So you know, get your information. These are great for posters. These are great these are great for, like, when you go tabling, you have these posters and you put it out and you say, look how much we get for education and look how much we spend for the military. Like, if the military shaved this much out of the military, look how much. Like, there is also so this website is great. It has great information. I think that Veterans for Peace, or one of those groups, also has a really good information. Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat. Oh shoot, I can't copy anything today. Okay, nationalpriorities.org. Then there is also, and I'm going to take you to I'm going to stop the share because I'm going to take you to my website. So there is Counterpunch did a great article recently about not recently, was almost a year ago, about the cost of hold on a second. Okay, I cannot multitask. That's why. Let me just share it. So Counterpunch did a great article about the fact that the Pentagon has failed 5 audits in a row. It has never passed an audit. And they cannot account for like 40, they can only account for like 40% of their expenses. They cannot account for like 60% of their monies. It is a racket. And having that information and putting that information, so educating yourself about the cost of the military would get you a lot of people who are like in the Republican camp, because I used to organize in Texas, and when I went to the more conservative areas like Abilene or Tyler and things like that, and I was invited to the conservative radio talk shows, I immediately started talking about money, and people were really interested and used to invite me back into conservative talk shows. So those conservative talk shows in the small towns, you can actually get on the radio with them. And if you start talking about money without talking about the moral issues like abortion and, trans and all of that, if you talk about money, you're going to get a lot of support, because one of the reasons why there's such a mess in the Republican Party is because some of these people are Tea Party. They're all about balancing the budget. They don't care about anything else. But they're also they're not looking at the military to balance the budget. They're looking at cutting social programs, right? I don't think that a lot of people know about the military and the fact that we're not passing the Pentagon is not passing a single audit, has never passed a single audit. And the first audit of the Pentagon was like 5 years ago, because they had never done an audit of the Pentagon. So I'll find that article and I'll send it to you. But I think that, like, even there's the PPP, there's a Public Priorities Project, Public Priorities Project, I think in Texas. There is an organization in Texas that works on taxation and funding and money. BPP, I don't remember the name of the organization, but there was an organization. So you might want to look at Center for Public Policy Priorities in Texas. Everett Texan. Okay, so for example, I think that this might be a good ally of yours? Do you know this organization? You might want to look it up. I looked it up.
No.
Okay, I looked it up because when I used to organize in Texas, I was I was working with an organization called the Center for Public Priority Policies, and when I looked at I looked for them. This one came up, and I think that okay, this one is an amazing organization, and they have a lot of information about money. And I think in Texas, if you focus your message on the money part, you're going to have a lot of support, because Texas is conservative. Like, you know, it pretends to be conservative. It's fiscally conservative. And they had good information. Oh, but see, that's why they're no
2012.
longer active. CCP. Oh, see, official pre-2012 publication. So you might want to look them up, and they might have changed who they were. Yeah, I think that this changed, and they may have changed to CPPP. Okay, CPPP rebrand every Texan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one became the other.
Yeah. So the CPPP became every Texan. They are a wealth of information with data and research, and I think that they might have good information for you in Texas, for Texas related.
Can you put this one on the chat real quick?
Yeah, it's everytexan.org. It's the same organization, Every Texan.
Right.
But in terms of fundraising, I would think of an event, think of a date that might be long enough, and maybe the other of the Muertos might be a good one. And I know that several organizations in Texas organize, and you're in a small town, so you need someone in Houston. You need some
Right.
people to work in Houston.
We're hoping to get I guess help in Houston, but I think the Houston Green Party people are not too connected with the state party. But yeah, and you know, I should be able to connect with Houston people because I was raised there. So yeah, I definitely need to reach out to the Houston people for sure. And
There is a
actually,
problem.
definitely gonna bring that up on Saturday. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there is a problem. I know that there's I've talked to some people, and I know that there is an issue. There's issues. Your bylaws make it difficult, make it easy for, make it difficult to keep the party together. There is an issue with your bylaws. Anyways, I spoke with quite a few people way back, but the Unitarian Universalist Church would be a good resource.
Who again?
The Unitarian Universalist.
No.
So, you know, they would be also a good resource in terms of doing an event with them and making a presentation, because they're very much for peace.
Okay.
And like San Antonio, the organization I know in San Antonio is Casa Esperanza. I know a really good fundraiser in Texas, but you're talking with a very short time frame. So one thing about fundraising that I was mentioning is you need to break up your pot into different portions, right? And have kind of a goal for each one, even if they change. At least having an idea will tell you. The having like matching funds might be a really good way for you to leverage. And you could even say that you can get like 500 from the state, from the national, if you get the first 500 and do it that way, right? The other issue that's really important when you fundraise is different people will give money for different reasons. Like some people because you're upset with a group, some people because you're like hardcore Greens. So you might want to look into the database of Green Party members, who is a very long time Green Party member, has been around for a long time, and contact them and say, hey, can you get 10 people to donate so much by this date? And so like you have the long-term Green Party, young people may be willing to do some fundraising on because a climate change issue, you know, all of the climate change is a huge issue. That's going to be more likely like young people. And again, saying, listen, I'm running for office because these issues need to be brought up. I want you to be able to leverage my campaign so that your message comes out. Like you want to be, so I think that if you put that message out, you might have some organizations be willing to have you present and see if you can raise some funds, some money, you know, at their meeting.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the call, Miss Natalie, but it was very nice meeting you, and Mr. Doug,
Likewise.
very nice meeting you too.
All right, Eddie.
And
It's good to
good
hear
luck,
other people's challenges.
Yeah, and good luck, Mr. Doug, with you know, all that infighting in your town. But
Yes.
it's getting like that everywhere, unfortunately. Even
Yep.
here in Texas. I mean, yeah, I feel very uncomfortable running here in Texas as a Green Party candidate, you know, being we're a natural gas and oil state, but somebody has to do it.
You know, don't be
Thank
afraid
you, Eddie.
because I had the best support and the most response in the more conservative parts of Texas.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Here in my town, it's not the Democrats who vote for the Greens. It's the people who decided to be neither one, or the Republicans who aren't just sure that they made the right choice. And they do listen to fiscal responsibility. I often will be quoted as saying something like, I want to spend money carefully so there's money left for the things that matter.
Right.
I don't want to spend lots of fancy money on cute stuff and then not have enough money for the important stuff.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
used to say when I campaigned in Texas is it makes, I don't know, we may not agree on God issues, but one thing we can agree on is that it makes more sense to spend $5,000 in early intervention in a family than $30,000 to keep a kid in prison.
Yeah, that's a great example of a campaign point.
Yeah.
Spend money wisely makes so much more sense than just spend money.
Yeah, and if you can get
Right.
a couple of names, a couple of numbers like that, and
Yeah.
drive, you know, and get a couple of sentences, a few sentences that make sense, and just campaign on those sentences.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
can you repeat the one about 5,000 and 30,000?
yeah. So what this is, these are the numbers from like 20 years ago, right? But I read a report about the relative expense of keeping kids in jail and so on.
Mhm.
And so I would say, listen, we may not agree on, you know, things like gay marriage or, you know, God or things like that. But one thing we can agree on is that it makes more sense to spend $5,000 in early intervention in a family than
Right.
$30,000 to keep a kid in prison.
Right.
And the whole military and the money with the military, that is a winner. The numbers are
Right.
so astronomical, and
Right.
it's not making us safer because our
No.
problem is not going to be the military, it's going to be climate change.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna focus a lot on climate change, because we really need to be better educated here in Texas. I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of damage to the planet that has come out of Austin, and we need to start. And you know, and there's gonna be a lot of people on the left that are gonna support us. So, you know, we hopefully we'll get a little bit more than 2%.
Yeah, and you need allies. I mean, you're not going to be able to do
Right.
it by yourself. You need to kind of connect with 360.org, Sunrise Movement, all of, all of the like young people, radical schools, universities, like go to the school, find, and
Right.
those are the people who are going to support you. Like you
Right.
need to
Right.
find your allies, go and talk to them and fundraise with them. And
Mm.
tell them, if you want your issues spoken during the campaign, you need to put me on the ballot.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, nice meeting everybody. And sorry, I'm going to be leaving there.
Bye. Thank you very much. Nice meeting
Rachel.
you,
Okay.
Eddie.
Thank you.
Muchas
Yeah.
gracias for
Likewise.
coming.
Yeah.
Sorry to talk
Okay.
so much to me.
Yeah. No. 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 Thank you for all the information. Actually, it was very helpful. Very helpful. Okay. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
Good night,
Bye.
Eddie.
Hey, Rachel. Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Minnesota.
Are you running for office?
I was thinking next year. I was originally planning to go for city council, but that's because I thought the mayor was stepping down. He's pretty crappy. so and the person who is currently in the seat for my district for city council isn't bad. I've never ran for office before. I think there like some people think maybe it's better to have experience if you're gonna go for mayor. But people love me and I listen. And I have very environmentalist like message and plans for the city. And if that speaks to people, when they learn about me, then they'll vote for me. And I think it's okay to run and not win.
So you're going to run for mayor?
I think so. It's a small city, though. It's only 22,000 people here.
Let me tell you, some mayors, if they're trying to line their pockets and, their friends' pockets, they are not good mayors, and you're going to do a better job than them. Plus, you're not the one, you as a mayor, and this is the question that I was asked when I ran for office in the past, is like, well, what experience do you have running for office? And I said, well, I'm a really good team leader. I get people to work together really very effectively, and I have vision. And as a mayor, I'm not going to be running the books. That's why you hire people who know to do their job really well, and you empower them to do their job really well. You rely on the people who know how to do their stuff, and then you motivate them and you bring their vision and you bring that, so I don't need to be an expert in everything. What I need to do is a good leader, and that's leadership skills. And so you take it that way, you get out of the, I don't have experience, because you have plenty of experience.
I do. Life. It's just not, not being mayor. Or
that's okay. That's okay. Do you know how to balance? And the other one is that, do you know how to balance your book? Then you're more qualified than the people in Congress, because they haven't figured that one out, right? And you get a couple of lines like that, and you diffuse the whole issue, because really, nowadays running for office is like the 2-second quick word. So you just need a 2-second quick word. But the whole issue of being a leader and vision and relying on experts to do the actual job will get you out of any trouble.
Yeah, I've sat in on several city council meetings, and I'm so frustrated every time. Like they not like a few months ago, they voted on a new playground. And maybe it doesn't seem like a big deal, but that playground didn't have any shade. It's like the climate's getting hotter. These children are gonna need more shade, and it's like and it passed, and it's gonna be there for 20 years. What's the climate gonna look like in 20 years?
Well, that's where if they tell you that you don't have the experience, and says, you know what, let me give you my experience. This was the decision. Where is the vision in that decision?
Yeah,
And you bring it back to leadership and vision.
leadership and vision. Leadership and vision.
Like, you know how to work teams, you know how to bring people together, and you have vision. That, you know, and you can
Yeah.
say, for example, they just voted down a playground that has no shade and the climate is getting worse.
Yeah,
Where is that how does that well spent money?
yeah. And there was someone who was going to be putting up a new building. And it was really a clever design because it's a super strange shape for a property. And so they designed this building where there's a small like piece and then it gets larger and then there's another third piece that's larger. And they complimented this person, this what would it be, an engineer, on this design, but they didn't say anything. Is it going to have solar panels? You know, are you going to have charge ports there? You know, like, how are you going to reduce your carbon footprint in the facility? What's your plan for that? No discussion at all about it. You know, it's frustrating. So, yeah.
Rachel, if I might.
Yeah.
When you started, it sounded like you weren't going to run this year, but thought you might next year.
Yeah, it'll be next year, not this year. So that's when we'll be voting for both my ward. Wait, sorry, no. My section. So we have 2 sections and 4 wards, if that makes sense.
Every state's different, but the reason I ask is that
my city, but
many of them have even years for state, federal, and odd years for municipals, and it sounded like yours might be a little different.
Yeah, ours is different.
Okay, that's great. I just wanted to make sure you were in gear with that.
Yeah, so the city council position that will be open is the first district, the first section. Sorry, it's the first section, and that's the bottom half of the city. My city is literally long, like an arm, so I use an arm. So the first section is all the bottom half of my arm. And so that's going to be open, and the mayoral race is going to be open too. And I actually applied. The section 1 council member had stepped down and moved on, and so there was an open seat where the council needed to appoint someone. So they were taking applications, and we all did interviews, 15-minute interviews with the council. And I actually got a handful of people to write the council members letters on my behalf, advocacy letters. And yeah, they actually ended up voting in someone that they knew well. So that's how they did it. Most of the council members came out of the Park and Recs Commission. And this person was also out of the Park and Recs Commission.
Mhm.
So,
Do you,
Well,
go ahead, Doug.
It's good to see how these things work because they don't change fast.
yeah.
So, might be that Parks and Recs Commission is a nice place to visit.
Yeah. The thing, so I'm in the Environmental Quality Commission right now, and they're talking about, well, I had a meeting last night, and the staff member who is supposed to be our liaison is supposed to sort of be a helper for us, to help us accomplish the things that we want to do. He actually decided that he's going to recommend that the commission gets disbanded. So I've been well, I mean, him and I have not seen eye to eye this whole time. He came in to the EQC like with this agenda to use the EQC to promote the Public Works Department. And I spoke out against that and tried to replace as much of his agenda with actual environmentally related discussions and topics and presentations and field trips. And he still got 3 months of the year for Public Works. So we have 12 meetings a year and he got 3 of them still. I was actually shut down eventually. The conversation was shut down. That's pretty fresh. So yeah, I just heard about that last night. I didn't sleep well.
So they're trying, the person in charge is trying to shut down the committee?
He's not exactly in charge. I mean, the Environmental Quality Commission members are supposed to be the ones in charge. We're volunteers, and the city staff is just supposed to be helpers. We actually had someone else before this guy, and she was so nice. Yeah, she was just helpful and yeah. So I'm actually planning to speak to the city council. Their next meeting is next Tuesday, and I have something written out that I plan on bringing them to describe his behavior. And I'm gonna request that they decline his request.
Do you have allies in that?
Possibly. One of his points is that it had low membership. So we currently have 3 members in the commission. We had 5. But we recently lost 2 because they had both had families. One of them, his wife got pregnant, and but I mean, at this meeting yesterday, there were actually 2 potential new members who came to sit in on a meeting.
Well, those are, so I think that what I usually tell people is, don't try to necessarily do everything on your own, but try to find allies and do like a little coalition and have a, you know, just bring allies. And if his like you said, if his contention is that the committee is dwindling, you know, have 2 more people commit to run, say, well, it's not dwindling, it's actually, it's going to grow again, you know, so you have.
Well, and I have a
your 2.
plan too.
Right.
I have a plan to, if the problem is that we need increased membership, then I have a plan to do direct democracy, going out and actually talking to people and, you know, seeing if that's more effective, because all the city has been doing is putting ads in the newspaper that nobody reads and on their city, you know, website and social media sites that also nobody looks at. So that's not an effective strategy, you know.
And do you have other, so okay, so that's kind of like a project of yours, going back to running for going back to running. How does it you know, how does this tie to your rate or to your intended race for mayor?
Well, that's, you know, I'm thinking if they like keep the EQC, based on my words, I might just stay in the EQC and make sure that it's viable into the future. And then as, you know, I don't know. If I could get it going well in quick order, then I could be mayor with a well-functioning EQC, which would be great.
Well, the two might go together. When you run for office, for instance, for mayor, it makes sense to have what the heck do you plan to do? And one of the things you can project is that you want to return participation of the citizenry in the commissions and have be well respected by those who are elected to office to consider what they have researched. We have sometimes campaigned carrying this week's list of what commission openings are there. Because darned if we're going to know in advance who we're going to run into out on the street. But if we have a list of here are the 82 openings and how many there are, and you know when we last heard about that, it's a conversation point because most voters will have some interest in something there. And even if they don't really want to serve, they should at least know that, hey, we need some help finding some people to fill these spots. And you may not be the right person, but you seem very interested in parks and recreation or the environment or surface management or whatever your commission is, you know, bicycle paths and ethics and those sorts of things. And people like that kind of engagement when you're asking them to, well, if you can't personally participate, you know, like who in your household needs a life? You know,
Yeah.
Yeah. Get that underemployed 20-something out there in the community and making contacts. And we find that it's not a very pushy thing. It's a list we can have on the table. And instead of all sorts of contentious policy points of how we feel about this or how we feel about that, a list of opportunities for you or people you know to be involved is a fairly unpushy campaign approach, particularly at like tabling events, fairs and such, where you want to have something, but you're not sure what to say to that audience. Well, often the thing to say to that audience is that you matter. You could help fill these spots, or you might help find the person who fills these spots. And by the way, my name is Rachel.
By the way,
Yeah, because you're still selling Rachel. But it gives you a reason to chat with a person for more than 10 seconds.
Sure.
And you can be possibly doing good filling up these commissions.
Yeah.
You know, I found that when I did that a few years ago, it really helped with my next campaign. Not the one I was in at that time, but the next campaign.
Right.
Well, there were a bunch of people on commissions who had, you know, like actually filled out the paperwork, and a few of them got appointed. They were supporters at that point. All right.
Have you I'm going to leave pretty soon because I'm actually I'm still at work and I have to get home. But I wanted, before we leave, I wanted to ask whether you had looked at any information about how to run effective campaigns, how to run for office, or anything like that. Let me show you. So let me show you real quick. So this isn't the Pacific Green Party website, right? But this is a really great PowerPoint that Hillary Kane put together quite a while ago in 2021. And it's a great PowerPoint that goes through why run for office, important considerations, the timeline of a campaign, next steps. And, you know, winning is not only getting elected, but it's also bringing up the issues. And so it goes through, where did I put it? Okay, so it goes through, you know, like planning, the things that happen in different times of the year, next steps, you know, just quite a lot of stuff that were actually really interesting. I see that they have an empty. So this would be like a good webpage, like a good presentation to kind of look into it. It's in the Pacific Green Party, so it's pacificgreens.org campaigns.
Oh, let me write that down just a moment.
I'm going to put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
That way you can copy and paste it in your notes.
And it will give you some good information. I think that we need to put more of that type of information out. So I'm going to try to collate through the CCC some of that information.
Yeah,
And
write some good stuff.
it has some really good stuff. It will give you a good idea to think of. And also, when you run your campaign, it's really important to know what you're doing. Like if you don't know where you're going to get lost, right? So a good way to think about a campaign is, okay, in my division, in my section, there is 10,000 people. Out of the 10,000 people, 7,000 votes. So I need to reach out. I need, 3,500 votes to get elected. So I need to reach out to probably 5,000, 4,000 people. How am I going to reach out to these 4,000 people? And then you start breaking down how you're going to reach out to people. What are your, what's your 2-3 messages? Have little catchy things. Learn also, you might want to look into the budget. You might want to, I don't know your town, but knowing about your town's history and some of the key important issues, so that do some research ahead of time, so you come prepared. You're prepared when people ask you. So there's a lot of like in terms of doing a campaign, some things that you want to do, and that this PowerPoint presentation will give you some of the ideas. But knowing like how many people do you need to reach? How many flyers do you might need to produce? How much would it cost you to produce those flyers? What are the key deadlines? Who are your key allies? You cannot do everything by yourself. Who are your key allies? How are you, what's important to them? So doing some of that work ahead of time is going to make the campaign so much more fun and so much more interesting. One thing, and the same thing goes for fundraising, right? So one thing that's really very important also in a campaign is that it's very difficult to be the candidate and to manage the campaign, because it's two very different behaviors. And you're going to be completely bipolar if you try to do those two behaviors, because as a candidate, you're out, you're talkative, you're blab, you're out, you're enthusiasm, you're like splashing, that's what the candidate does, right? That's the job of the candidate. But as a campaign manager, you're like, how many numbers did I do? What's the schedule? What's the calendar? It's a totally introverted type of behavior. It's a very different time frame. Like you need to have good contact with your volunteers as a campaign organizer. Obviously, like you cannot be an asshole or be a hermit, but but it's a very introverted. You're like planning, okay, to do this, I need to do that. Did I put that? Did I lose? This is my.
I have a couple people already in mind for those roles.
So so it's you want to somebody who likes to have their house impeccable, who likes to have all of the pencils in the pencil box, who who's going to have who likes to do lists, somebody who's like really is going to keep your shit together, basically.
You're talking about my spouse.
Andy,
And he's going to make my website.
Yes, and then the social media, you have to think about, okay, when I post here, who is going to post it here, there, and who is going to engage with this, and that, because it's the engagement, you want to push the engagement. So the long story short is that to run an effective campaign and have fun doing it, you need to know where you're going. So you need to have some minimal goals, some idea of what you want to accomplish, and also like in terms of your party, how many people do you want in the party? How, maybe one of your goals would be to recruit 2 or 3 more people to recruit some people to run at a higher office, to consider a statewide office, so you want to think also a little bit after the race, what? Because every campaign should build for the next campaign, because you want to create that momentum.
I know the answer. I already know the answer.
Tell me.
I want to build relationships with our neighboring cities, and I want to get collaboration on. I'm doing like this. Imagine this. The buses go around, they meet here in between the cities, right? So the buses can go around. I live in the suburbs. Okay. So we have all these towns, you know, like this all around. And if we had little circulator buses going around each city, you know, you could pay what, $2 or whatever, and then transfer to wherever you want, eliminating the need for vehicles potentially.
Absolutely. But that's an amazing vision. See, that's
Yeah,
what,
that's the vision.
that's the vision. And the thing, and you want to go into these other towns and identify volunteers to help you in your campaign in your town,
Okay.
because then they're going to learn how to run in their town. Because if they know how to run a campaign and they, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna miss opportunities, it's gonna happen, right? Because you've never
Okay.
run a campaign. But if you get the good volunteers going, even if they're on the other towns, and work to get them elected and create that little hub, that's a perfect thing. So something very important is also, you want to, after the campaign ends, you need to have a recap, a reevaluation. All of the tools that you've developed in your campaign, you should be able to like reapply them to another campaign, etc., etc. So it's not like you close shop and you go home. You want to be able to amplify what you already did.
So reapply the first campaign to the second one.
Totally.
Okay.
Like have a website
Great.
with a database so that you can collect information and then use that for the next campaign. The other thing that's really important is make a list of all of the endorsers and endorsement groups, League of Women Voters, whatever league of, your town, the 360.org, Sunrise Movement, all of, make a list of potential endorsers and get them to endorse you early on.
Okay.
And then, because you're going to recruit volunteers that way too. And you don't want to miss, like, there's different organizations do hold campaign, they do endorse, they do this and that. Sometimes you have to fill a form, sometimes you need to apply. So figuring out or putting a volunteer out to make a list of the endorsers or the organizations that you want to approach, and to contact them and ask them, do you endorse? What's your endorsement process? All of that should be part of your planning. But it's going to make your campaign more fun, because you cannot do everything. You should be just a candidate and other people should be running your campaign.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Doug, any other words of wisdom?
I think you were on target well there. I happen to be a candidate, but my primary role is to be that back office person who makes sure that the other candidates have their stuff available. Do they need a clipboard? Do they need a walk list? Do they need to get on the frickin' ballot? Somebody's got to make sure that's possible, and I'm better at that than being the candidate. So I happen to be a candidate, but that's not my primary role.
Have you contacted like young people in your area, like youth?
We have gotten fortunate this year. We have two new candidates who have not worked with us before. One is a tenured professor in her late 30s who teaches ecology, for heaven's sakes. I mean, what more could I ask for? A PhD in ecology who lives 2 blocks away. So we're really pleased to have her. Her ability to communicate with her peers here in this university town has been remarkable. And we have another new member, late 20s, financial dude. And he comes across a little underexperienced, but eager, anxious, and smart. So we're happy to have them, because I'm normal for the group, and we're aging out. So we need some young blood. Because some of us have been doing this a while, and I'd rather help others at this point than they should have a future, and they need to work it. I'm willing to support that. So I think it's important that you look around for old farts like me who maybe have a clue or two and can be useful, but might not occur to you at first. I happen to be an old database guy. I happen to know how to build a mailing list. I may not know the newest social media thing, but I can put together a list of voters, and I can interpret the kludgy old systems that hold that data. And I know what a dollar is, and I know how to fill out paperwork for reporting and that sort of stuff. Young candidates need that because, well, how would they have that experience?
Right. Yeah, it sounds like something a lawyer would need to know.
Yeah, indeed. And so, I'm too old and weak to go start a riot or close down the Capitol or impale Congress with its own flags. But egads, I can fill out a financial report. I can open a bank account. I can.
Okay.
And some of us are just sort of hanging around on the edges of your life, and you may not have noticed us. And so it might be good to not only look for like donors and supporters, but practically, you're going to need a team, and that team's going to need some skills. And if you can find Hillary Kane's material that Natalie was trying to show you,
you mean
she's
the
an excellent source, Hillary Kane. If nothing else, just Google her. Hillary Kane with a K, Kane. I've attended one of her classes before on running a campaign, and the lady's no slouch. I think you'd find her useful.
Yeah, we're planning. We need to put all of those resources and all of those things in somewhere that's easily accessible. I don't think that it's easily accessible right now.
No.
But
so my point was, your volunteers and your aides and your allies won't all necessarily be your peer group.
Okay.
Same way that I need people who are not in my peer group to become involved, so too you may need people who aren't in your peer group. That's all part of team building. And who knows, maybe it's an uncle's friend or something like that. But sometimes there are people who have done this before but aren't doing it currently. Maybe they got irked with their major party or their national party. Maybe they're in a spot where they'd help a niece, that sort of thing. There are skills out there that you may find closer to you and just didn't think them. Connect to them.
I got together with a Green Party member who was a city council member here years back.
There you go.
So I made a connection with her. It was actually to ask her if she would please become the mayor or run for mayor.
Yeah.
She did eventually decline.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do?
Right. Well, the last time I got elected to office, it was because I was supporting somebody a generation younger than me, and I rode in on her coattails. So, the fringe benefit for me was I got 4 years of service in a field I like, but I got there because I was promoting a popular, younger, intelligent female to office, and I just happened to be on the ballot next to her. Yeah. So, it doesn't always have to be the old model.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you can look around for that. Listen for it, look for it. Ask people like Hillary and myself or Natalie on how you're going to find these people, because they're out there, and some of us are no longer really interested in being candidates. But it doesn't mean we're disinterested in good candidates getting elected.
Cool.
Meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, I wish you super well. Let us know if we can help in any other way.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be in touch.
Definitely.
We meet Thursdays, come again.
Okay, yep. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you very much, Doug. I wish you very well. I'm sorry that it's getting so hairy in your area.
Yes, but you and I have done this a while, and we're both serious people, so
I'm not, I mean,
have to take a few chances.
the future needs, the kids need
Yeah.
a future.
Yeah,
I
indeed.
mean,
It's
I
that
mean,
simple.
I can totally, go in and enjoy my margaritas after work, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Haven't got the time for the pub anymore. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you very much. Bye, Rachel. I
Nice
wish you
meeting you
well.
guys.
Let me know if you need anything, that you know how to reach me through the CCC.
Okay. Oh, what was your name?
Natalie, sorry, I didn't change my.
Well, you had a
Natalie.
good campaign for Secretary of State. That was great.
Oh, is it with a TH?
Yes.
I might
And
have seen your name.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I think you and I corresponded in an email. We had an email exchange, I think.
That's possible.
Yeah, I think I recognize your name.
Yeah, I've been very busy. So, I'm sorry,
Same
I don't
here.
remember exactly what we were talking about.
I know, I don't read half of my emails anymore.
Oh, really? Yeah, half. Yeah, maybe half. Okay.
Half is still good. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you. Bye.